Today, I'm going to show you how to grow potatoes in a container just like the ones behind me. And today, this video is sponsored by our friends from Black Cow. And if you don't know what this is an organic compost we use to mix our soil with. And if you follow along, we'll do this step-by-step process on what you can expect when you grow potatoes in your container. Growing potatoes in a mineral tub container is honestly the easiest way to grow potatoes. And the reason I say that is because every potato you grow, you can easily find. And that makes all the difference. You're not searching for anything in the dirt. You literally grow your potatoes and you dump them out and it's all right there. The first thing I want to show you is the bottom of this mineral tub. It's got plenty of holes at the bottom of the container, and this makes sure your soil drains appropriately. So the first thing we need to do is mix our soil, and we're using 1/2 parts Black Cow and 1/2 parts peat moss. So we literally are just eyeballing it and throwing the soil into the container, and we'll hand mix this as we go and make equal parts as we continue to fill up this mineral tub. All we're trying to do now is fill this mineral tub up about the first 6 inches before we put our potatoes in. So now I put some Black Cow in first. I'm now just throwing in some peat moss. Any brand or variety will work, but the main thing I use is Black Cow when mixing this up half and half. So now I got half peat moss and half Black Cow into the container. I'm gonna mix it all up. And there's no science to it. Just get your hands in there and mix it up well. And you don't have to do exact measurements, but what you wanna do is make sure you have about 5 or 6 inches of soil at the bottom of the container before you start adding your potatoes. And you can see my soil level right here, right through here. You can see the light through it. So now all we gotta do is add our seed potatoes. Taking the seed potato with the eyes facing up and placing it directly into the soil of our mineral tub. And we wanna place about 6 of these into the soil. So now all we're gonna do is finish topping off our seed potatoes with the soil we've already made. All we're doing is just covering the tops of the potatoes just about 1 inch. And just like that, you can see I've literally doubled the amount of soil that's in the mineral tub. So now all your potatoes are covered up. We just smooth them in, and then it's time to water them. So as promised, I told you I'd walk you through this step by step and show you the progression of growing potatoes in a container. And here are the results after 2 weeks. Now after 2 weeks, your potatoes should be about 4 to 6 inches tall. And this is when I show you the technique called healing. Healing is whenever you add more soil to your potatoes. In order to heal your potatoes, add soil all the way up to their leaves about once every 2 weeks. Continue adding soil to your potatoes until your container is filled all the way to the top. And this is what your potatoes should look like after about 65 to 70 days. They're fully grown, and you should have healed these things and filled these things up with dirt all the way to the top by now. And now you can easily see how much soil there is in these containers when growing these potatoes. We literally fill these things up slowly throughout the process until we get it all the way to the top. In the final stages of growing potatoes in a container, no matter how much you water these things, they will all die off slowly. And that is when you know you're ready to harvest. And here's a close-up shot of what it looks like when they're starting to die off. Now in the early stages of growing potatoes, if you see your potato plants start wilting, usually you can add more water and they bounce right back. But at the very end, they don't bounce back. Right here, I want to show a close-up of the different varieties of potatoes that I grow. These are the Pontiac Reds, and you can tell the huge difference in them. This is the Yukon Golds. So now we're at the final stages of growing potatoes, and as you can see, my potato plants are dying back, and I technically have about another week before I should harvest, but because I'm impatient, I figured I'd share with you today what they look like. Now keep in mind, when I planted these potatoes, I actually know for a fact I started with 4 seed potatoes. So I'm not expecting a whole lot, and I'm trying to make sure you're aware of that before I see the disappointing yield I may have. But I did start with 4 seed potatoes, and I typically start with about 6. And so with that, I expect a little bit less of a yield than I typically get. So the very first thing I do when I'm getting ready to harvest my potatoes is lay out a bunch of tarp, because like I said at the very beginning, all you have to do now is just dump out all your dirt and go through it and see what you got. All we do is just flip this over. And it should look a lot like this. You can see the root system on this, and I'll give you a close-up shot right now. So now our potatoes look just like this, and the root system's pretty much all right here on the very top of this now, but it was on the bottom. It's time to start going through this dirt and seeing what we got. And my favorite part of growing these potatoes is I love the small ones. I just like them when I'm cooking. And so now I bet you're wondering, what do we do after we've harvested the potatoes? And now what we're going to do is take our potatoes and put it in one of our mineral tubs and set it under our house for about 2 weeks. So what this does is, this allows your potatoes time to cure under your house in order for those potato skins to get a little bit firmer and for your potato to taste a little bit better. And if you don't have a crawl space in order to put your potatoes under for a few weeks, you can always put it in your garage or in a pantry or somewhere that's in a cold or cooler dark space. And if you made it all the way to the very end of this video, congratulations, because I know that you can officially grow potatoes in a container with literally any living space that you have.